Hello everybody, hopefully you're having a wonderful day today, and this is lesson number 24 of our dive into the wonderful world of music theory. And today, as you might imagine based on what's already on my screen, we're going to be doing case studies. I think I've done already about two of these type of videos where I've taken some sheet music after what we've learned and we've tried to decipher what it means. And if you've come this far in the lessons and you've been watching it so far, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back because we've learned quite a lot. So we've learned the basics of both pitch, pitch and rhythm, right? We've learned the basics of both of those things, and with that we put them together, which is something we haven't done till now. But what we're going to do today, we can actually start to read some music, honest to goodness. Right, we can actually start to read some music. Now, that doesn't mean that we're literate yet. No, there's a whole lot of other stuff we need to learn. We need to learn dotted notes, for example. We need to learn key signature, and we need to learn major and minor scales, and so many other things are still left which you need to be able to read music in a basic level. However, there is still music which is quite basic, which we can read now, honest to goodness, actually understand what it means, no hiccups here and there. So that's what we do today. We take a look at some music which I've picked out and try to read it literally, understand what it's saying, and then I'll play it on the piano, even if you don't have a piano, and then we can work together with that. And it's important to apply the skills you've learned. So I encourage you to read music not only here but also outside the lesson, because I've only been able to pick three pieces of sheet music for this lesson, right? But there are many others. So and because I don't want this lesson to be too long, so I encourage you to try to find some by yourself. That being said, today we're going to dive into this. So let's have a look at our first sheet music here. Now let me run down exactly what you do when you see sheet music. First thing, identify the clef. And here right now we are in treble clef. We are in treble clef right now. So I know to use the treble clef system to look at the lines and spaces. I mean the bottom line is E, this space is F, this line is G, this space is A, and so on and so forth, right? And so on and so forth. So because it's a treble clef, that's what it means. Now later we learn something called key signature, which comes as well, but we don't have to worry about that right now. Aside from key signature, the next thing you look at is the time signature. Before you even start reading the music, look at the time signature, so you understand how to count the music, where the bars are placed, and everything such. And this music, thankfully for us, is written in a 4/4 time signature. Now, I'd like you to pause the video and think about what that means. And I see you've done that. And a 4/4 time signature means that there are 4 counts per bar. There are 4 counts per bar, and that each count corresponds to a quarter note, or each count is worth a quarter note. What that means is the total value of all the notes in the bar must be that of a quarter note, and I'm going to count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I'm also going to use the system which you've learned already, that being that a quarter note is worth 1 count, right? We learned about this because the bottom number is 4, right? Because the bottom number is 4, that's literally what it means. And because that the half note is worth 2 counts and the whole note is worth 4 counts, and so on and so forth. We learned about this, right? We've also practiced it quite a bit. But that being said, yeah, so it's a 4/4 time signature, so now we know how to count the music. So now we can actually get to reading the music, right? Now you have to excuse me, these bar lines go all the way down. That's because both this music has been taken a snippet from a grand staff. I wrote it in the grand staff, right? So in the grand staff, the bars go from the treble clef to the bass clef, but normally these bars would end here, right? So not to cause confusion. Under normal circumstances, these bars would end about here, but just because I took a snippet from the grand staff, they go like that. Okay, so there are two aspects to this music, right? And as you become more and more proficient, you should be able to read these simultaneously. But for now, there are two separate aspects. Number one is the pitches, and then the keys on the piano, which each of these notes locations correspond to, right? And one is the rhythm. So if as I said, you should be ideally reading these two simultaneously, right? Identifying the pitch and then playing it in the rhythm. That's what sight reading is all about. But in the case you can't do that, you can start, doing anyone. You can start either naming the pitches, or you can start with clapping out the rhythm. I'm going to start with the pitch, but I know it's okay to do it either way. Now, first things first, I'm going to identify each and every single pitch, right, based on the treble clef thing, so it's easier for me to play on the piano. Now let me make one thing clear: I don't recommend writing the pitches beneath the music when you're learning an instrument, because you need to learn how to read the music itself, right? I'd actually encourage you to try to call out what each pitch is right now by itself. I am writing it down so that we have a reference, right? But otherwise I don't encourage you to try to read sheet music where you've written the stuff below, because then you don't understand the sheet, you don't gain the ability to understand the sheet music. But with that being said, that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to look at the note, I'm going to write it below, just so that we have a reference to draw from. Though I'd encourage you to pause the video, try to do the same thing, or just write in a sequence on a piece of paper, or call out what each note is in your head or out loud. I encourage you to pause the video here and try that out. And I'm assuming you've done that, now I'm going to do it. So okay, our first note here is one ledger line below the staff. Right? Now I know this bottom line is E, so that means that the space will be D, and this line is C. And D, that's middle C. In fact, we discussed this, so the C is middle C. Okay, the next note is the same, so it's also C. And this note, it's on the second line. Now you might, if you memorized it or you're using the acronym every good, it's going to be G or EFG, whichever method you use, right? And this one's on the second space, and I know that's going to be A, face, so FA, or you can just EFGA, whichever one you choose. And now I'm going to stop saying how I am getting these, and I encourage you to do it yourself, and I'm just going to call them out. So this one's G, this one is, perhaps I should left myself some more space, F, this one's F, this one's E, this one's E, this one's D, this one's D, this one's C, this one's G, this one's G, this one's F, this one's F, this one's E. Ooh, I'll rewrite that E. This one's E, this one's also E, this one's D, this one's F, this one's F, this one's E, this one's E, this one's D, this one's D, that, oh, sorry, wow, I made a mistake, so sorry. This one's G, my bad, this one's G, this one's F, this one's F, this one's E, this one's E, this one's D, this one's C, this one's C, this one's G, G, A, G, and then F, F, D, D, oh sorry, one second, I think I may be going senile, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. So once again, C, C, G, G, A, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, C, C, G, G, A, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. Okay? So now I know the pitches. So I can play the keys on the piano basically. These are all keys on the piano, right? Each one of these, the position corresponds to keys on the piano, right? I can play it. But here's the thing, I don't know how long or short to play each one of these pitches. I could just play them off all equal lengths, but then that's not music. That's not what's written on the music. No, some pitches are meant to be held for longer than others. So let's try to figure out how that works, and that's where rhythm comes in, my friends, and that's where what we've been doing this entire section comes in. So let's try. So it's in a 4/4 time signature, and now when you're doing rhythm, you have to look at what type of note it is. So for example, all of these are eighth notes. This one's a quarter note, eighth notes, quarter note, and so on and so forth. So forget about at what position they are, because that's we've already used that to figure out all the pitches. So their position in the staff tells us the pitch. Now the type of note that they are tells us the rhythm. So let's try to use the type of note to find out the rhythm for this. So okay, since there are a bunch of eighth notes here, and I'm going to use the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and counting system. There are 4 counts per bar, so I'm going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and not 1 and 2 and 3 and or till 5 or till 2, exactly 4 counts, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to clap this out. Right, I'm going to clap this out. Yeah, I'm physically going to clap it out. Alright, so remember, in eighth note takes half a count, which means it'll be a 1 or an and. A quarter note takes a full count, which means it's going to be 1 and 2 and so on and so forth, and there's no other note in this particular extract, so that's all we need to do. Okay, so let's try. Ready? So I'm going to read the music. I encourage you to pause the video, clap it out yourself, or if you have an instrument, try to just hit one key and play it, because it's important that you learn, not me. But I'll I mean, see me pause the video and try it. Now I'm going to do it. So once again, eighth notes are half a count and quarter notes are one count. And I have to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's start. So by that logic, it is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So in fact, you'll notice that these all these bars actually share the same rhythm. So if I just wrote them in terms of the notes, all of them are just this. All of them. And once again, that claps out like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Without me counting, so you can hear it slightly clearer. Alright? Da 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 da. Alright, now what I'm going to do is bar by bar I'm going to piece this together, right? Because I could do it all in one go, but then that might be confusing for some of you. So bar by bar. So as I said, this bar I'm counting it, clapping it out like 1 2 3, sorry, let me clap it out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ta 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 ta. Alright, so now I'm going to combine that with what the pitches are. So I'm going to play each one of those keys at for that specific amount of time, right? I'm going to do that. Alright, and now let's see what it sounds like. So now I'm putting these two, this pitch, the rhythm, I'm putting it together, and now I'm going to play it on the piano. Let's see what comes out. Okay, remember the rhythm is ta 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 ta, and the pitches are C C G G A A G. Okay, so if I do that, it sounds like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Once again, so I'm counting, I'm using the rhythm, and I'm also playing the correct keys on the piano given the pitches that are present there. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm sure most of you already know what this is going to be, but let's not spoil the surprise. So this bar sounds like this without me counting, and hopefully you can figure out why. Let's look at this next bar. Once again, the rhythm is the same as the previous bar. It is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 ta. Right? So hopefully that's clear. Now once again, I'm going to use the pitches which I've written down right here. I'm going to play them right on the piano with those intervals. Right? Since I'm saying tuck tuck or clapping, I'm going to actually play the corresponding pitches, and let's see what gets out of this bar. So ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, next bar. Once again, it has the same rhythm. Ta 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 ta, right? And once again, I'm going to do the exact same thing. If you have a piano with you, or if you have something which can play these pitches, I encourage you to pause the video and do it yourself, the entire thing. If you don't have one, just clapping out the rhythm and writing down all the notes is good enough. So if you've done that, great job, and I'm just going to play it. If you don't have an instrument to play it, that's completely fine. So now, as the third bar, its rhythm is tuck 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 ta, right? All right. So I'm going to use that with the keys. Ready? The next bar, same rhythm, tuck 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 tuck. I'm going to do that with the keys, with the pitches, right? This bar is actually identical to the previous bar. You can check; they look the same. They are the same. Then the next bar is the same rhythm, tuck 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 tuck, right? And I'm going to play those keys now, which are written below that, and let's see what comes out. And the last bar is once again same rhythm, tuck 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 tuck, and I'm going to play the key that are written below it, and let's see what comes out. With counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and there, because it's tuck 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 tuck. So once again, if you don't have an instrument, just writing all these pitches down, right, and clapping out the rhythm is good enough. I want you to do that definitely, and that's good enough. If you do have an instrument and you know which keys correspond to which notes and stuff, I encourage you to try to play it yourself. Unfortunately, if you don't have an instrument, that's not possible, but that's fine as long as you're clapping out the rhythm and writing the notes below. So now I'm going to play the entire piece. Once again, bars don't mean I'm supposed to stop. They're just divisions. I don't stop in a bar. So I'm going to play the entire piece once, from start to finish, once with counting, once without counting. So let's see what happens. Once with counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to restart. My bad. Once with counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 once without counting. And that's it. It's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I've actually used this a couple of times before, but I thought it would be a fun surprise. Anyways, so what we've done is we've clapped out the rhythm. We know the rhythm now, what long and short notes are supposed to be played, and we also know what pitch now, what keys are supposed to be played. And now we can put those two elements together, and that's what we're doing. And we can, honest to goodness, read the music. And I, I know Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but presumably if this was not a music, I've never seen this music before, I never heard it. I could look at this music and play it, and that's what you should be able to do by yourself right now, right? Now, if you can't play an instrument, once again, what I said is clap out the notes, right, and then write down the pitches in between, below, so you understand, at least, at the very least, to understand what pitches are meant to be played. So, as I said, music theory usually goes well with when you're learning an actual instrument. That being said, let's move on to our second case study. This has been the first case study. I cannot label this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star because we know what it is now. Twinkle Twinkle. I'm just gonna write Twinkle Twinkle. That's what most people call it, anyways. Next. Once again, so let's, before I even try to read the sheet music, let's get the basics down. Number one, clef, and it's a good thing I checked because this time it's the bass clef. This time we're dealing with the bass clef, my friends, and that means that the system is different. So this bottom line is G, right? The bottom line is G, or the acronyms are different, and so on as well, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So now this music is not going to be the same as the one written above, but it is in the same 4/4 time signature, right? So we're good there. Once again, 4 bar. This also has a bunch of eighth notes, so I'm going to be counting it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 counts per bar. Each count is worth a quarter note, right? Each count is worth a quarter note. That's what this quarter means. That means the total number of quarter notes in a the total value of all the notes in a bar should be the same as 4 quarter notes. These are all conclusions you draw from the time signature. But in practice, what you have to keep in mind is you're counting it as 1, 2, 3, 4, or in this case 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and to make it easier for myself because there are lots of eighth notes. So once again, we're going to follow the same procedure. First, we're going to identify the pitch, and then we're going to identify the rhythm. Though when you're playing an instrument, you have to do these two things simultaneously, which if that's part of practical music. But for theoretical purposes, I just want to show that we can read music at this point in time. I already said when you're writing in sheet music, please do not write your notes below the staff because that's not a good habit to get into while playing an instrument. But here we don't have any other choice, just need to show that we know the notes, so that's what we're going to do. Anyways, this note right here, I can count from the bottom: G, A, B, C, D, E. I can also use the acronym Good Boys Do Well All Good Boys. What was it? Yeah, oh, sorry, no, I'm using the lines acronym. So sorry. The spaces acronym was all cows eat grass. So all cows eat E. So both the acronym, both the other method tell me it's E. The next note is also E because it's the same note. In fact, all the notes in this, all the pitches in this bar are E. All the pitches in this bar are E. They all lie in the same space. So I checked one. You don't need to check each and every one if you can observe that they're all in the same space. Now here they're not. So let's figure that out. This one. What is this one? Think about it. Whereas actually this is the same E. And once again, pause the video and do this yourself. I encourage you to do that. This top one, where I can use the space acronym. All cows eat grass. So G, or I can just count from the bottom. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So indeed, this is G. And I'm going to stop explaining how I'm getting to that note, and I'm just going to do it regularly. I encourage you to do it properly. So C, this is D, and this is E. This is F. This is also F. This is also F. This is also F. This is also F. This is E. This is E. This is E. Then this This is also E. This is D. This is D. This is E. This is B. Oh, sorry. This is D. This is G. Keep in mind, I don't know how to cite it the bass clef, so if this is hard for you as it is for me. E. D. G. Just want to double check that I'm not making any mistakes here. Once again, all of these are E. So E, 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 E. This one is E, G, C, D, E. This is F, 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 E, 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 G, G, and this is where larger lines come in again. G, G, A. What is this going to be? Think about it. What's one space above A? That's B. And this one legend line above, that's also middle C. It's back middle C. And one more thing, this is a bass clef. I've told you that if you just want to play it the pitches themselves, you can play it on any octave, but if you have a piano that's a bass clef, you are going to play this on a specific octave, and that's one octave. The E, this E, the one right here, this E, this one, and all the ones that follow it are all going to be the ones below middle C. So I play that one high because it was in the high register. I'm playing this one in the lower register. Okay, but if you are just worried about the pitches, you can play it in any register really. Okay, now unlike what we did in the last time, I'm going to go bar by bar, identify the rhythm each time. Okay, so bar by bar. Once again, 4/4. I'm going to count it 1 and 2 and 3 and I'm going to clap it out. And I encourage you to pause the video and actually clap out all the bars right now. Take your time, clap them all out, or tap or whatever, snap your fingers, whatever works for you, but do it because you need the practice. It's always good to have practice. Okay, now I'm going to do it. I'm assuming you pause the video and try it, and let's see what it is, right? So once again, because there are a bunch of eighth notes, I'm going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. So let's see what happens. Ready? So by that logic, once again, I'm talking quite a bit, but I want to make it sure that all the concepts are clear. An eighth note is half a count, a quarter note is one count. So by the logic, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the rhythm of this bar. So tuck tuck ta, tuck tuck ta, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm gonna put that together with the pitches and I'm gonna play it now. And remember, all these pitches are E, so I just have to play E over and over again, but with that rhythm. So I'm not playing E E E E. No, that I'm playing E E E E E E. Alright, let's see what that makes. With counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and good. Okay, now let's move on. Some of you may already have idea what this piece might be, but let's move on to the next part. So what is this going to be, right? Well, remember how half note is worth 2 counts and all the eighth notes are worth half a count. Same thing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's go. So by this logic, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So without me counting out loud, or tuck 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 ta, right? That's meant we had for 2 counts, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I'm going to put that together with what I've written below, all the pitches, right? And let's see what comes out of it. Once again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as you can see, this E, this G, this C, this D are all shorter and that last T is long. So this is why we have different notes. This is why we have rhythm and pitch together, right? Because some notes are long, some notes are short. So once again, tuck 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 ta. Once again. Okay, now the next bar, it's all eighth notes. So I'm going to be counting it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. As simple as it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. 1 and 2, tuck 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 tuck. No, tuck 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 tuck. Like that. Tuck 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 tuck. Right? Quite simple. And this time, but some of them, so they're different. Some of them are different pitches. So keeping that in mind, I'm gonna play it and let's see what comes out. Once again. Once again with counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as you can see, the rhythm is tuck 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 tuck. right? But the pitches are different. So once again, we got this bar down. Next bar. Now let's identify the rhythm. Same thing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the quavers or the eighth notes are worth half a count, whereas the quarter notes are worth a full count. So by that logic, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 tuck. Okay, I'm gonna put that together with what's written each below it. I mean, sorry, and let's figure out what comes. So yeah, I'm gonna put that together with what's written below it. Once again. So 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. Right? So it's tuck 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 tuck. I'm putting the pitch into it and I'm playing the correct keys on the piano and it sounds like this. Okay, great. Let's move on. Next bar, same rhythm as the first bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and each. I'm not going to repeat this. I'm pretty sure you get the jam by now, so I'm just going to count it out loud. Tuck tuck tuck. Oh, sorry. I should probably count as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 tuck. All right. Tuck 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 tuck. Right. All right. All these notes, all of these pitches are E. So I'm just going to play E like that. And when I put the pitches and the rhythm together, it sounds like this. With counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, great. Next bar. Once again, I hope you paused the video and tried all these bars by yourself. And only then are you listening to me do it now. Once again, the eighth notes I'm gonna count it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's see what happens. Ready? And remember, half note is worth 2 counts. So say for quarter note. Ready? So I count out the rhythm right now. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 ta tuck 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 ta. Ready? Tuck 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 ta. Well, that last one was so accurate, but yeah. Now I'm so tuck 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 ta. I 16 that for two counts. So now I'm gonna put this together with the pitches I have written below it, and let's see what happens. Yeah. Once again, I'll play slightly slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and remember the rhythm was tuck 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 ta, and now when I'm putting the pitch, I'm playing the keys on the piano which are dictated by the music. It sounds like this. Tuck 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 ta, or in with counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's move on to the next bar. It's similar to the one bar that came before it. The rhythm is tuck 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 tuck. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 tuck. So yeah, it's just a bunch of eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck tuck. I'm not going to say it again. I'm just going to add the pitches now and let's see what it makes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now I'm going to play the last one. What is the rhythm of this? Well, it's 4/1/2 note. Let's figure it out. Tuck tuck. I should probably count. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I've got to have it as same tuck. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tuck 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 tuck. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 tuck 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 tuck. Right, 1 and I'm not going to do it again. I'm pretty sure you get the gist by now, and I'm just going to play it. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and yeah, I'm just repeating one. Okay. Now as I said, we've done it bar by bar because we're not trying to be musicians right now. It's not practical music. So a musician would look at his music, sight read it. They would read these two things together. They're not looking at the rhythm separately and the pitch separately. They're putting it together in their mind. But that's sight reading, and that's a different skill. It's a practical music skill. And also they're not doing each bar individually. They're just playing it in a flow. So I've been doing bar by bar. Now I'm just going to put it all together. As I said, bars do not mean you stop the music. It's just a division on the music itself. So I'm going to play it in one go now. Right? The music we will play so far. Ready? So without counting. I'll play it once more without counting, just for your reference. Once with counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as you can see, hope it's Jingle Bells. There's not much else to say to that. This is Jingle Bells. Great. So Jingle Bells, and yes, we've done it. Now the last song, no, not last song, last excerpt of a piece or whatever. We're gonna go through. I won't tell you what it is. Guess what it is after having read them and tried to play the music. Okay. So same thing. We're gonna follow the procedure. Once again, we're in treble clef here, familiar territory. This bottom line's E. All the treble clef acronyms apply. Great. It's the treble clef system of the pitches. Now we look at the time signature, and oh, it's 3/4. Now because the bottom number is still 4, right? The bottom number is still 4. Or the whole thing that a quarter note is 1 count and a half note is 2 counts, and an eighth note is half a count. All of this still holds because the bottom number is 4. So this is still true, and everything else is true because of this, because the bottom number is 4. That's literally what the bottom number means, that a quarter note is 1 count. But since the top number is different, what is different is how I'm going to count it. So instead of counting it as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and as I have been doing this entire video, because I've been using 4, 4, I'm going to count it 1 and 2 and 3 and, or 1, 2, 3, right? Depending on whichever system I like to use. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the flow of the music. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever you prefer, right? This music is fairly repetitive, but I wanted to include one thing from 3, 4 at the very least, so I've done that. Okay, so once again we're going to first do the pitch, then the rhythm, and I'm sure you get the routine by now. Treble clef, pause the video, clap it out yourself, try the pitches yourself. Right now, please do that. Hopefully you've done that. It's already, you play the video after having done that, let's check it together. I'm not going to explain how these pitches are, what these pitches are, I've already done that with the top two. I'm just going to write them down. This one is E, this one's A, this one's C, this one's D, this one's E, this one's A, this one's C, this one's D, this one's E, this one's A, this one's C, this one's D, this one's E, this one's A, this one's C, this one's D. So you can see these 4 bars are exactly the same. This one's E, this one's A, and first look at accidental, remember? So we've got our note and we've got a sharp symbol next to it. Pause the video and think about what that means. And what it indeed means is that this is not going to be whatever it was, it's going to be that note sharp. It's going to be the sharp of that note. So which position is this note on right here? Well, it's on C. So this is not going to be C, this is going to be C sharp due to the accidental. So let's write that, C sharp. And I keep that in express mind. This is C sharp and D. And then E, A, same thing, C sharp and D. And E, A, same thing, C sharp and D. Well, my handwriting is getting less and less legible, but then it's the same for the part, so hopefully you can still divide the meaning. E, A, once again C sharp and D. So these 4 bars are the same, these 4 bars are the same. First 4 and last 4 bars are the same. So yeah, it's quite repetitive, though I just thought I wanted to include at least one from 3, 4. Anyways, so now I'm going to, even the rhythm for all of these are exactly the same. So it is, if I write it out in terms of just the notes, it's, it does work in a 3, 4 bar, and that's literally all of them. All of them have this exact same rhythm. So instead of doing bar by bar this time, and then like the rhythm bar by bar, the rhythm is the same for each one, and let's count it out, right? So once again, I'm going to be counting in 1 and 2 and 3 and. Why? Because there are 3 counts in a bar, and because there are a bunch of eighth notes, I'm including the and, so it's easier for me to count. Okay. By that logic, once again, the quarter notes want the full count, and the eighth notes are about half a count. So let's do it. Ready? So by the logic, the rhythm for all these bars, you can just instead looking for this, refer to this, which I've drawn right here. The rhythm for all these are 1 and 2 and 3 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and without me counting. Tuck, 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 tuck. Faster, tuck, 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 tuck. If I play it all together, right? Chalo. Now tuck. So that's the rhythm of each bar. Tuck, 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 tuck. Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and. Chalo. That's for each bar, each and every single bar. So I'm not gonna do the rhythm for each bar. Just keep in mind this tuck, 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 tuck is for all of these because once again, if you just look at the notes, they all just mean this. What I've written here. Anyways, chalo. Now I'm going to add in those pitches and let's do it. So for the first bar, once again the rhythm is tuck 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 1 and 2 and 3 and let's see what happens. Ready? So once again tuck 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 tuck, that's the rhythm. So sorry the rhythm is tuck, once again 1 and 2 and 3 and once again 1 and 2 and 3 and alright, tuck 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 tuck, and this bar, this bar, and this bar are all the same, so it's the same thing for all of them. 1 and 2 and 3 and the next bar is 1 and 2 and 3 and the next bar after that is 1 and 2 and 3 and they're all the same. Now the fifth bar is slightly different. I play C sharp instead of D, but the rhythm is still the same. It's tuck 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 tuck. I told you it's a very repetitive piece which I chosen for this one. And I'm going to play the C sharp instead of C and it sounds like this. Once again. And then all these bars are the same. So and I'm just going to play all the music all together. And that's it. That's the entire music. As if it's repetitive, but I'm sure many people will recognize this music as the opening theme of Game of Thrones. Indeed it is. This was Twinkle Twinkle the Starting the Bells in Game of Thrones. And as I said, Game of Thrones is very much indeed in a 3/4 time signature. So as you can see, you can go on, and it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 turn on 1 2 3 tuck 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 tuck. So it is it's a 3/4 time signature. And it is as I've written for you. That's how you play it. So it's been almost a 40-minute video at this point, but I did want to cover 3 today, and I think I've done that. Now once again, if you don't have an instrument with you, if you want to read music, just write the pitch below it, or I would actually recommend you try shouting it out in your head, right? Because once again, writing the pitch below a note on a staff on a sheet music is a very bad idea if you're learning an instrument, because then you start reading the note, you start reading the letter and not the position of the note itself on the staff, and that's terrible. Because what if you can't do it? It's not a terrible habit to get into. A lot of people do it. Trust me, avoid it as much as possible, right? When you're learning an instrument. But for our purposes here today, when you want to prove that you know the pitch, it's basically like a worksheet where you have to find out what note, what pitch is this, and you write it down, right? It's the same thing here. If you have an instrument, I encourage you to actually, in fact, try to directly play it without writing it down. To directly play it and play slowly, but try to directly play it. That being said, after this very long lesson, I hope you learned something very valuable. I hope you learned that your skills you learned so far are not completely useless. They're actually applicable. You've applied, and we can apply them in a bunch of contexts like we just did today. So hopefully you've taken something valuable away from this. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself, and I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of the day. We have many more topics to cover. If you come, pat yourself on the back if you've come this far. Right? Good job. You get a smiley face from me. Good job. I'm proud of you from like you reached the first major milestone. Anyways, moving forward, we'll probably be talking about major, minor scales and key signature and everything about that. And see you then. Hope you have a wonderful lesson today, and see you next lesson. Bye.